Welcome to the Bible Has Answers for today, where we talk about God's creation and how to defend our faith. I'm your host, Mike Riddle, and today our challenge is, how could the first 3 days of creation be literal days if the sun was not created until day 4? Now, to start answering this question, we need to look at some definitions. Definitions about time. So let's start with a year. What is our definition of a year, and where do we get that from? Well, the definition of a year is the time it takes the Earth to rotate around the sun. That's an astronomical event. Now, where do we get a month from? What's our definition there? Well, that is defined by the time it takes the moon to rotate around the Earth. But what about a day? What is our definition of a day? Well, if we go to the Oxford Online Dictionary, it gives us this definition. Each of the 24-hour periods reckoned from one midnight to the next, into which a week, month, or year is divided and corresponding to a rotation of the Earth on its axis. Did you see that? In other words, we do not need the sun for the definition of a day. The definition of a day is the time it takes the Earth to rotate once on its axis. So there's the first part of our answer. We don't need the sun for the definition of a day. But if we go to Genesis chapter 1, verses 3 through 5, we see that God also, besides creating the earth, created light. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and morning were the first day. So now we can have a day without the sun. But also, God created light, so we have a light and dark cycle. In other words, we have a day and a night cycle before we even have the sun. But what was that light? Well, there are many forms of light out there. There's X-rays, there's gamma rays, ultraviolet rays, microwaves, many different kinds of light. But what does the Bible have to say about light? Well, let's go back to Genesis chapter 1 again. In chapter 1, on day 1, God creates light, but the word he uses for light there is O-W-R, or. But when we go to day 4, when God creates the sun, moon, and stars, he uses a different word for light called Ma-or. What is the difference between these two words? Well, on day 1, the word for light, O-W-R, or, what it means is illumination. Notice what it's talking about. There is light, but it doesn't mention anything about a light source being there. Well, God can do that. If he can create a thing out of nothing, if he can raise people from the dead, if he can walk on water, he can create light without a light source. But on day 4, when God creates light, the sun, moon, and stars, he uses a different word, Ma-or. And that word Ma-or means luminous body or a luminary. In other words, there is a light source there called the sun, which is now providing light on the earth. Now, Genesis 1:14 answers another very important question for us. If we already had a day and a night cycle before we had the sun, why did God have to create the sun? Well, again, in Genesis 1:14, he answers that when he states this. Then God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, for days and for years." So what he does, he creates the sun, moon, and stars so we can have seasons, and also so we could have a way to tell time. So, summary, we do not need the sun for a day. It's the rotation of the earth once on its axis. There are many forms of light. God created light, and God is light. So the challenge, how could the first 3 days of creation be literal days if the sun was not created until day 4, has been answered. The first 3 days of creation, as were the other days of creation, were literal 24-hour days. Now, if you'd like to find out more and get more answers to challenges, you can go to our website, creationtraining.org, or if you'd like to help support us, you can do that by going to our website, or if you'd like to contact us directly, our email is info@creationtraining.org.